Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of For the Fan, episode number 149. As always, I am Will, and we got Jake and Dom here with us. Hello.
Sup?
Week 15 came and went. Now we got the NFL, which is going to be just crushing over the next, 9 days. We got Thursday Night Football, followed by Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Then next week is Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and then another Monday. The king stays on top no matter what day they are on. They proved it during COVID, and they're going to prove it yet again. But gentlemen, a lot of crazy stuff this week. Early thoughts on what has happened and what's processing right now.
Are you talking about Sir Kirk Cousins?
We'll talk about Kirko in a second, but just overall, I mean, the Lions' injury report now climbs like 17 more players because everyone's going on injured reserve. People not knowing how to hold the football, crossing the end zone. Jonathan Taylor, Bengals guy.
How many people
Thought we learned it already.
How many people do you lost in their fantasy matchup in the playoffs because of?
There was someone said 40% of leagues lost by 6 points because Taylor fumbled the football on that play.
And it's a -2 for the fumble, right?
Yeah. So instead of +6, it's
-2.
Yeah.
You don't have to actually lose the fumble. Just fumbling gets you minus points.
Depends on league.
You can follow us on all the social media platforms down below. YouTube For the Fan Network, TikTok For the Fan Network, X For the Fan _, and Instagram For the Fan Football. Let's get into it. We're gonna go right now, and we're gonna talk about Kirk Cousins in the next 25 seconds. So you're listening to For the Fan.
You are listening to For the Fan.
And our 25 seconds is up. Let's go into it. Last night, the Falcons came out and said they are going to be benching Kirk Cousins, who they paid 4 years, $180 million for, to be the guy that gets him over the hump. A team that was a quarterback away from really going over anything, trying to make the playoffs, make a name for themselves. Looked really good the first 9 games. Last 4, he really floundered. He won 4 games without a touchdown pass. He threw his first one against the Raiders from like week 9 on. And the Falcons, who said they weren't going to be benching Kirk Cousins, they come out and they bench him for the number 8 overall pick, Michael Penix Jr., which we have such a great draft reaction for, but I do not have that on the side panel here. So unfortunately, lost on that one. But what are your guys' early thoughts on a new era now with Michael Penix as he now prepares for his first ever start against the New York Giants on Sunday?
When it comes to Penix, I don't really have any thoughts because, I wasn't convinced that he was NFL ready out of the draft. Because he had just such an up and down college career, but Kirk has been that over the last 4 weeks. I also don't even think that Kirk's done. I think it's just that his Achilles is still clearly bothering him.
Well, I remember the beginning of the year. It was a big deal that remember we talked about this? His footing and like his footwork, it was massively different than the rest of his career. So it was really odd. And that's got to point towards something. That has to be the Achilles. That has to be, I think that had to be something with coaching. There was like something coaching involved. I had some kind of a deep dive at some point where I looked at Kirk or stuff about Kirk and stuff. But we're talking about like this being like week 3 or 4. And since no one really cared about Atlanta, they've just sat under the radar because they're like good enough to not be terrible, but bad enough to not matter. So no one. So I just kind of feel like.
I watched the Aaron Rodgers documentary that was on Netflix that came out yesterday. I watched the whole thing, and his whole mindset was, you have to get over that fact, like, okay, hey, you might get re-injured, you might not get re-injured, so it's a whole mental aspect of the injury. Like, you go through the injury, it's one thing, but it's like you have to go through the whole other aspect of okay, there is a chance I could get injured. But an Achilles, it's a 5% chance of re-tearing, which we have seen athletes do before. Cam Akers, prime example, tore it preseason 2021 for the Rams Super Bowl run. He tore it last year again when he was on the Minnesota Vikings, or no, Houston Texans, my bad. He tore it then, so it was just a whole mental aspect of just getting back onto the field, really trying to grasp the idea of like, okay, like I'm okay. It's just that mental part where it's like you went through that pain. They say it feels like a gunshot. And well, we're at this point where, Falcons are 7-7 trying to salvage their season. They got flexed to Sunday Night Football for week 17 against the Commanders. So we're not seeing a Kirk Cousins reunion against Washington. So we'll be seeing Michael Penix and Jaden Daniels, 2 top 10 quarterbacks, face off. But I have to ask this aspect here. Where's my cursor? There it is. What is next for Kirk Cousins? If I read it correctly, it's an easy contract to trade because it really is a 2-year deal. Let me do a little scrolling on Twitter really quickly, and let me get to that point.
So I actually have thought of this over the course of today, and there's 2 scenarios. Like Penix plays well in these games, and he's the starter next season, and Kirk's gone, or he flounders and Kirk has to be the starter next year. But my opinion, if he's gone, he's going to one of the New York teams. He's playing MetLife anyway. Either the Jets or Giants are picking him up.
So Kirk Cousins financials, he got $62.5 million this year. But hello, Colton. Where are my manners? Hello, Mr.
Hello, gents.
Mr. Sea Dog. But Kirk Cousins got paid $62.5 million this season, and the Falcons are on the hook for $27.5 million fully guaranteed next year. So it's a tradable contract. But how the financials break down, if they did a post June 1st designation, like release of Kirk Cousins, they would pay $40 million in dead money in 2025 and then another $25 million in 2026. I think I saw another piece here. I guess there's not, but it's a tradable contract. The Falcons are going to be, getting that Russell Wilson dead cap money that the Broncos are facing for this year and next year. So a whole lot of stuff's on the line here for the Falcons. But, to your point, Jake, he could be playing for a team in MetLife. The Raiders could be a possibility. The Titans could be a possibility. Or we could see a reunion up in Minnesota, depending on where Sam Darnold ends up going. J.J. McCarthy with his rehab process from his meniscus tear. There are a lot of teams on the table for Kirk Cousins to go to. I think it's just as you said, it's a scheme fit that is the biggest question mark here for Kirk Cousins. Obviously, the Falcons aren't working out. He was really good in that West Coast Shanahan offense up in Minnesota for all this time. It's just the scheme. To sum it up, let me use another 100 words to sum it up instead of just 7. That's me.
I also don't think coaching in Atlanta is good. I'm not going to lie. I really don't. And I think there was me and Jake were watching. It could have been a night game or something where it was like clearly part of their issue was coaching. Like it wasn't without a doubt, it was without a doubt. Like there's some issues already. And this was the first quarter of the season, or third of the season probably. Again, Atlanta has not mattered in 8 weeks, it feels like. I don't think anyone cares about Atlanta other than Atlanta.
Really, after they lost the Chiefs, they kind of just been irrelevant.
They were 6-3, and then they started slipping those games. Kirk Cousins went on that streak of 11 interceptions, no touchdowns, so he was just really struggling. I think he only threw for like 160 against the Raiders, and the Raiders aren't that good of a defense, especially with Max Crosby not on the field. He's out for the year. So as we got Sean in the chat here, he says, I think it proves that KOC makes average quarterbacks look amazing. Coach of the year, hands down.
I mean, that's kind of funny. You can't give him coach of the year, I don't think. But like,
his game is really like he is respect the hell out of Kevin O'Connell. He does a good job.
And we looked at it with like the Rams too. Like Stafford looked amazing that Super Bowl run. Cooper Kupp was like one of the most unstoppable receivers in 2021. It's just that scheme is just so good. And he goes from LA to Minnesota, and look at Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison's blowing up. So, but yes, Dom, continue.
I just think Atlanta has to chalk it up for the season. It's over. Like, just you play the rest of the season out. I think it's lost. Figure some stuff out. You're now in garbage time for the rest of your season. Look, let's see what Penix looks like. Let's see what some of these dudes. Let's get some commitment for next year as far as like what we want to figure out. You know, like you're not going to fire your coach in 1 year. It's just that would be absurd. Whether I think you should or not is one thing, but like you just don't. So you gotta chalk it up for the season, figure it out, start again fresh next season. Kirk, quarterback, like that's it. You just can't not at this point. It's if the Giants do it with Daniel Jones, you got to do it with Kirk. I mean, let's be honest. So it just kind of that's it. You threw him money, you're committed. You put yourself here. Next year, come along and you start over.
That's the best part of this. Oh, Atlanta. Oh, Atlanta. You decide.
Colin's going to come punching us in the jaw because all we do is talk about Atlanta. And he's like, see, I told you guys. I was never buying into the hype. I was just following you guys.
They've had a lot of head-scratching moves. Like, you bring in Kirk Cousins. That was a move like, okay, cool. That's going to make this team go to the next level. Then you grab Michael Penix Jr. And it's like, okay, like, what are you doing at wide receiver 2? Like, cool, Darnell Mooney's a fun, like, third piece. You could have had a better receiver. Instead, you draft a quarterback. If you're going to draft a quarterback, then why the hell would you sign Kirk Cousins? Like, none of it makes any sense. Because, cool, you now have the discussion this year, and you just burned all that money. Like, Kirk Cousins, at the end of the day, is like, cool, now I get to stay healthy, and I get paid. It's great, good for me. Like, I don't understand it for Atlanta at all. It made no sense. If you knew you were going to grab Michael Penix and you liked Michael Penix going into the draft, why the hell did you sign Kirk Cousins? Why didn't you just invest in everything around Michael Penix? Like, you could have signed another weapon in free agency. You could have signed another offensive lineman, whatever it may be, and just signed drafted a cheap rookie quarterback in Michael Penix Jr. Like, they've done this whole thing ass backwards, and now they're going to pay the price for it. This is hilarious for me. Atlanta, crap show. You should have signed Bill Belichick in the offseason. Instead, you bring in – I know he's had head coaching experience as an interim level. You bring in a rookie head coach. This team was kind of built for the now with signing Kirk Cousins, and you don't bring in Bill Belichick. Great job, Atlanta. Arthur Blank, I think's the owner's name. You guys are clowns in Atlanta, and you got what you deserve with this one. Idiots.
Rappaport did come out before the draft, and he did issue a report that, the Falcons could be looking for that succession plan for Kirk Cousins. And Arthur Blank was like a full promoter of, okay, let's find that next guy. So at least we have him in the helm. You look at Aaron Rodgers, they had the Jordan Love experience. Then you had, Brett Favre, who was prepping Aaron Rodgers. The whole list goes on and on.
You don't sign a man to a 3-year deal then. That's the big thing. You don't give him a 3-year, a boatload of money. That's the thing.
They also had more than just the 10 minutes of the they also talked to him like way before you were supposed to. So they already lost a 5th-round pick or a 4th-round pick for the next draft.
Stupid. None of this has made any sense from Atlanta at all. Yeah. This is just, again, this is something I expect from like the Jets type of bull.
No, we can't even go with that stuff. We're just a dumpster fire up in
now Atlanta's now a dumpster fire. There's like 2 organizations now in the NFC, actually 3, that are absolute dumpster fires. Doesn't matter what they do. That'd be Carolina, Atlanta, and the Chicago Bears. All 3 dumpster fires.
And the Giants.
We're forgetting about the Giants.
Giants have at least had playoff success in Super Bowls. Let's be real here. I mean, God, they decided to be stupid here with draft. That's a whole nother point.
I don't even know if the Giants have their Super Bowls on Blu-ray, DVD. Like, I don't even know if that's a thing.
Why?
I mean, at least we joke about the Cowboys with like the VHS
you would say
stuff.
The same thing about the Steelers. You have the Steelers and Tomlin get a pass. So I'm giving the Giants a pass because they've drafted a shit quarterback, and that's what it is. I mean, they drafted Daniel Jones. If they can. The problem is they're going to end up falling into the trap, the Giants. This opens up a whole nother worm. I'm not interested in going down this rabbit hole because I can spend another 20 minutes talking about what the Giants should do, but we know they won't do it. A lot of these teams are going to panic, take one of these quarterbacks. They're not that good. We're going to find out it's like Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis draft all over again where it's like, oh, yeah, these guys aren't really that good. They should have tanked the season. They should sign what they should do, sign Justin Fields to a 1-year deal, See what he's got. If he's good, you don't have to draft a quarterback. Great. If he sucks, you're probably sucking, and you're in the Arch Manning Lottery Bowl. That's what they should do. Instead, they're not. They're going to draft the Cam Ward, draft Shador Sanders, and they're going to suck. It's the same dance.
Back to Atlanta.
Gosh, why do we have to start with Atlanta? God, it just got me all fired up, these clowns.
The one thing I have to say about Atlanta is they fire Arthur Smith. They fire Arthur Smith because he couldn't improve from 7 and 9
because
for 3
he was
years.
bad and he has terrible game plans. And
yeah, but like the whole thing was like he was like, "Hey, we're gonna improve," and then went 7 and 9 for 3 years. They're currently 7 and 7. If who's out there 7 and 9, so it's the same. If they win one more game, they've improved, I guess. So it's like,
well, they should beat the Giants. They should. In a perfect world, they should. But also, losing to the Giants now don't have a top pick for Shador is also hysterical in that own sense. So, like, you kind of want to root for the Giants in a way. I mean, I see the smiles here. Like, it's funny either way what happens here. Falcons win. Okay, they're in the playoffs, but the Giants win. It's like, oh, fuck, we're out of the Shador sweepstakes. We're going to get, Cam Ward. We don't have Shador. Bro wanted Shador money. Doesn't have Shador money. Here's Cam Ward.
If they win one more game, or if they win this against the Giants, they've now improved. They're basically a 500 team at that point. So it's like, okay, I guess this season's not like the most.
And they upgraded the quarterback position doing that. So congratulations. You went 500 with Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke. Congratulations. You're in the same crap show that you were years ago. So
yeah, I don't, man. You just get, again, like I said, I think you just chalk up the season, you figure some stuff out, and you start again next season. That's just where you got to be at. You committed to Kirk, so it's like you dug your grave no matter how it goes.
Sean also says to bring back KOC. He is a coach of the year. Remember, the Vikings were only chalked up 5 wins with Sam Darnold. And he also says Kirk Cousins gets released by the Falcons. He gets picked up by Minnesota, which in all worlds could possibly, be a thing. Get him on the veterans minimum. He still owed a lot of money. Look at like the Steelers with Russell Wilson paying him pennies on the dollar, and a 10-win team there.
It doesn't make sense to me to just release him. I just like. It's only 3 years, so it's not like the biggest thing in the world. And just releasing him, at the very least, just let Penix learn from him kind of thing, maybe. Like, this is your
Remember,
situation.
they didn't let Penix play in the preseason because they said he was so good in training camp and all that stuff that they did not want him to play in the preseason. So they played him against Miami, and that was the only action he had. And then he was in the Broncos game after they benched Kirk Cousins because it was a 30-point blowout. So it was like, let's just see what we got there. And that's the only kind of action we've seen from Kirk Cousins. Well, Michael Penix, my bad. That's overstepping my boundary there.
I don't know. This team sucks.
It's just like
we've already spent way too long talking about Atlanta. This team
hey,
sucks.
man.
Let's look at the playoff picture here. So Dom will pull up that one thing I sent him, and I will talk about who's clinched, who has not clinched. There we go. But yeah, so looking at it right now, Chiefs have clinched their division. Bills have clinched their division. The Steelers have clinched the playoff berth. The Texans clinched their division as well. But looking at the rest of the teams, the Ravens are still at large. Broncos and Chargers are still at large, followed by the Colts, Dolphins, and Bengals. And then on the NFC side, only 3 teams, which are all the 12-win teams in the NFC. The Lions have clinched the berth, followed by the Eagles and the Vikings. So 3 12-2 teams in the NFC who are very much looming still, who can pull out their playoff berths and all that stuff. Let me go back to what Adam Schefter tweeted earlier this morning. So the AFC could be all clinched by the end of this week at the end of the 4 o'clock hour with the Dolphins and the 49ers games. So if the following results occur, the Chargers beat Denver on Thursday night, followed by the Titans beating the Colts, 49ers beating the Dolphins, and then Cleveland beats Cincinnati, all 7 playoff teams will be clinched. So it's
wait. Do it again. I will literally select them as you say them. Do it again.
Okay, so this week, so the Chargers on Thursday night, so the very first one, followed by on Sunday with the Titans beating the Colts, which is
Titans, got it.
The Niners beating the Dolphins, which is near the end there, and then the Browns and the Bengals.
Who's winning the Browns? And
the Browns.
If the Browns win, okay.
So those would be your playoff teams in the AFC. We're not, counting, wins that have to go down. So like those are your 7 teams that will be locked in. But obviously seeding can be different. The Steelers can lose to the Ravens on Saturday. All that stuff can, change in all variables over the last 3 games. So very much at large, but that would be your AFC playoffs. And no conference has had playoff locks with more than 2 weeks left in the season since the merger. So we got that.
Well, remember what I said last week? I said last week we checked out the playoff picture a little bit, and I said last week there's a gap in between the 7th seed and the in the hunt teams. There's a big enough gap where it's like you need teams, the Texans or the Chargers, to just plain lose out while other teams win, just to even shake up the AFC picture. So like, it really is pretty much locked at what you're seeing to the left right there. That's pretty much the seeding isn't, but your 7 teams are right there. That's your lock.
The
So
seeding isn't, but it also kind of is.
it also kind of, you're right.
Like the only things that can really change are Denver and Chargers flipping, and Steelers and Ravens flipping. That's really it.
Well, the 5th, 6th, and 7th seed altogether could straight up also flip flop around too.
Yeah, Ravens could, fall down to 7, and then, Chargers could shoot up to 5.
Like if Denver wins and Baltimore, look, if Denver wins, boom, they move up. Whereas Baltimore,
Well, you got to hit the Baltimore game.
yeah, where the hell?
It's up top at the 3rd one, Dom.
There you go. So if Baltimore loses, they're kind of like
The Steelers would clinch then.
the Steelers would clinch. If the win and Baltimore loses, then I mean, anything, it just is what it is. These 3 teams could flip flop constantly in the next 3 weeks, and that just is what it is. Like Baltimore's week 18 game against the Browns could matter for Baltimore, or
We'll do it. Hit the week 18 for them to beat the Browns.
Well, let's see. We gotta do this then. So Baltimore versus
have them
Steelers,
lose the Steelers, so they would be a wild
Boom.
card.
17. Okay, so where's Baltimore?
At the top there.
Okay, all right. Let's say Baltimore beats the Texans. Pretty realistic, right? Boom. They're the 5th seed. So now it's like, who do you want to face if you're Baltimore? So realistically, they could beat.
Well, you should also put in, let's just say like the Steelers win. The Chiefs win actually over the Steelers. You do something like that.
Well,
Well,
what
we're
I'm
talking
saying
about
is,
for the bottom
these-
3 seeds and
Yeah.
where they would finish.
like for Baltimore to play week 18 and care about it, they could beat the Texans week 17 and then be looking at winning week 18 to face the Texans again. Like they'd be happy with that over facing the Steelers. I don't think Baltimore wants the Steelers. I don't think Baltimore wants the Steelers or the Bills. Like they're a team that you're going to see week 18, I think, because they want the Texans. So it's like this at least shows or gives us a little bit of a picture of who might rest and who might not. The Texans, I think, are kind of locked where they are. So, like, you could easily see the Texans rest week 18 because they're going to kind of sit in this spot unless the Steelers kind of lose out or something, which they're not going to.
I think they would rest regardless because I think you'd much rather play like the 6th seed over, the 5th seed over the 6th seed, which could be a Baltimore thing. I mean, they're not going to be moving regardless. I think they're kind of like just locked in there at the 4.
So now we have a picture at least of who could play week 18 versus who could rest week 18. And like, I don't really think CJ Stroud is going to play much of week 18. Nico Collins, who has had an injury, I don't think he'll play week 18. Joe Mixon might not week 18, whereas it's looking like Lamar and the dudes for the Ravens will probably play week 18 because they want that Texans matchup, So at least on the AFC side, we kind of have a picture of who might play week 18.
The NFC, there's too many variables going in there. We'll figure that out next week as it gets
It's
closer.
The one seed was just decided pretty.
Yeah. So what I figured out is the Vikings
Seattle-
went out. Seattle's
The Rams.
yeah.
Because
So what I figured out with the 1 seed is Lions went out, Vikings went out. Essentially, it's going to be Detroit, Minnesota, game 272, Sunday Night Football. That's going to decide the 1 seed, and it will decide the NFC North, which will print out money.
I went through this all last night because I'm like, how did the Eagles get the 1 seed? And basically,
They both lose out.
No, they just need the Vikings to drop 1 and then beat Detroit. That's it. Vikings can drop 1 to either Seattle or Green Bay in the next 2 weeks and then beat Detroit for the 1 seed.
The pressure's on for Dom trying to find these matchups. I'm pretty intrigued right here.
Pressure's on for me trying to find the Rams right now. Oh, there. Okay, so they could easily beat Arizona. I'm just looking at what the Rams, between the Rams and Seattle, what it's going to take for either team. So Seattle against the Bears, I could think Seattle wins. Caleb's on like a 7 billion game losing streak.
Top, middle.
For what? Oh, this is huge. This could be a win and in. This could easily, because look, watch.
It's Seattle.
If Seattle wins, boom. If the Rams win, they actually move up. Or, well, depending on, they don't move up. They could stay. But either way, this Week 18 matchup could be one of the biggest matchups that we see in Week 18.
I love that they use the old Rams logo and not like the current one. They use like when they just went back to LA. I love ESPN.
That's great.
I love ESPN.
That's absurd, bro. But this could be like maybe our biggest Week 18 matchup. This could be like a primetime matchup because none of the other games might matter for these two teams. So it like however they flex it, because this is to be decided, this could be gigantic. This could be like a must-watch TV right here.
All the 4:00 games should be must-watch TV Week 18. But they might honestly flex this game into the Saturday night slot.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, because ESPN wants at least one matchup on the Saturday of Week 18 to be like, okay, hey, we want like a win and in scenario on our network.
Those also would be the night game anyway, or more likely, because normally the 4:00s are all the teams that are battling for the same seeding, so that nobody.
Yeah, it would be all divisional stuff there.
I'm gonna look at something here. All right, so we got to think Washington beats Atlanta, so they kind of stay where they are. These wild cards are pretty much, or not wild cards. These bottom seeds are pretty much set where they are. Minnesota's going to stay here pretty much no matter what. Green Bay is probably going to stay here no matter what. And 7th seed is probably going to stay Washington. Unless Washington loses to a team like Atlanta, and then they're going to lose. We're going to say they're going to lose to the Eagles. That makes sense. And then, like, this game right here might matter because if Dallas...
Whoa, that logo there. What's going on here? ESPN, what are you doing?
Crazy! But, wow. So if Atlanta were somehow to beat Washington next week, and then Washington lays an egg against the pitiful Cowboys Week 18 in a game that matters for that team, Atlanta could actually... That's absurd. We just talked about Atlanta and how this season's done. They could sneak in.
Well, they could sneak in the division. It's possible.
Yeah, they could. Yeah, they could still squeeze in.
Is that true?
Yeah,
they beat the Giants. Then
yeah, so like right now you have like the Seahawks who are at large, the Falcons at large, Cardinals, the Niners could still get in. Cowboys still have a chance, but they need like the world to implode for that to happen.
Have the Tampa winning out in this already clicked on.
Oh yeah, because all right, so if Tampa Bay was to lose against the Cowboys, lose a game, it looks like they stay in the playoffs no matter what. But the seeding, that's crazy that Atlanta, we just did this whole talk about Atlanta, and they could, with Penix, just freaking take a division spot. Of course, because that, Colton, is everything you said. That is the NFC South in a nutshell right there. This stupid bull crap nonsense.
Would be the most NFC South thing of all time.
Well, you're missing a Bucks game somewhere because they're 9-7 there.
Oh, well, yeah, but I don't think it matters because we're going to say, like, if they
lost. Let's just say they win there.
Oh, then they're back in.
But they still stay there.
Yeah,
I was playing around with this. I did not know we were doing this for the show. I was all over this last night for the NFC.
We're like a couple kids in a candy shop right now. This is nuts. That's
Quick,
kinda
which
crazy.
logo do they have for the Jets here? Is it which old logo do they have there? They're probably like
They have
2
the-
logos ago. Oh, it's 2 logos ago. What about the Chargers? See, that's still San Diego. That's not even LA.
It's still San Diego. I didn't mean to click on any of those. It doesn't
What about the
matter.
Jaguars? Imagine they have like that old like 2000 like 90s to early 2000s logo for the
This is kind of absurd, right?
it's 2014. Realistically, they changed this anywhere between like 2016 and 2019. Honestly, yeah.
What else has changed? Not that
I
it
don't think
matters.
many has changed. I don't really think many's changed. Do they have
There's
the
the
old
Bears.
Bucks logo? Where's the Bucks? Do they have the old Bucks logo?
Is that the old one? No, it's not. I thought it was.
The old Bucks was like super derpy. Like it was
Definitely
like
Oakland Raiders. So no way that's Las Vegas Raiders.
you got to read the fine print. I would laugh if it's just said Oakland Raiders instead of Las Vegas.
What about Dolphins?
Dolphins went through a
Has
couple.
that changed?
They changed like like the middle of 2010s.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone else did.
Is that the old
think-
Browns one? Didn't the Browns update their helmet?
Nah, it's always been that.
This is a bit of on ESPN. Not gonna lie. Like, so they
The
copy
Commanders
and
one is the
pasted.
hilarious one.
Yeah, the Commanders one's nuts. So they've been copy and pasting this playoff machine because if you notice, not one place does it say the year. So they've been copy and paste. Wait. The Super Bowl logo is the same, right? Or
Yeah, that's been the logo since like God, I don't know, 2010, 2011. So like
they've
that's always
copy
been the
and
thing.
pasted this for at least what 6 years.
They probably just slide in like here's the schedule in here and you could just have fun.
Oh yeah. Copy and
What
pasted
about the
them.
bottom? Is all the seating on the bottom correct? Not seating, but like like area wise, like okay, Las Vegas. Okay, so they updated some aspects. Other ones are like little Easter eggs they want you to catch.
Kind of wild.
I don't think they expect anyone to click the matchup and like, oh hey, here you go.
It's funny because all that information is like put incorrectly.
It's all
and then
correct, yeah.
That's so funny, dude. But yeah. So there's a lot that can happen NFC wise, and it's looking like Week 18. This is going to be the biggest matchup in the NFL, and this could also be a matchup that matters, along with somehow Atlanta potentially. I mean, they don't have the hardest schedule because they play Giants, they play the Panthers. So the only game that looks like matters for Atlanta is this Washington game, which also matters for Washington. So week 17, this could be one of the best playoff implication matchups. And then week 18, excluding what happens between Washington and the Falcons, this is a win-in situation almost guaranteed between the St. Louis Rams and the Seattle Seahawks.
You mean to say St. Louis?
Yeah, look at that logo.
Okay.
Stupid.
No, that's like when they returned to LA because they used to have like the gold and like the yellow in that one. So that's like the return to LA. Then it's like, oh hey, we're just gonna give you whatever that monstrosity is on the 3 seed there.
So I gotta think, is there any matchups? No, right? Week 17 is decided as far as flexing and stuff, right? I mean,
Yeah, that was decided yesterday. Like they flexed out Dolphins and Browns to put the Commanders game there.
But look at this, 8:20 p.m. Like this is a matchup that really matters. This is
basically a winning in, more or less.
what could be, as long as the Falcons beat the Giants, kind of pretty much. This sets up a winning in for sure. And then this almost no matter what is a winning in. So this I could probably see. Well, now this says Sunday 1-5 to be decided. So
Well, they haven't decided week 18. Like they had decided that like Monday Night Football of week 17.
Okay.
Because it's
So
like the networks want like certain games, and then they make sure all those are fulfilled.
this is almost a guaranteed night game. So we have a little bit of a picture of their schedule of the night games, of the primetime matchups, week 18, in the hunts, everything like that. So that's cool. But these two, Green Bay's locked pretty much where they are. Minnesota's locked pretty much where they are. They're going to probably remain the 5th, 6th seed. I couldn't see that changing whatsoever. The 7th seed would matter if the Falcons don't lose a stupid game like to the Giants. And then LA could move to the 3rd seed, stay 4th seed. Seattle could just bump them to the 7th seed. Who knows? Or Seattle could eliminate them from playoffs. You see that? So if what we did between Tampa Bay and Atlanta works out, there's definitely a win and in, lose and get eliminated kind of game. That's a huge game, man. That's a gigantic game. If they tie, that. But yeah.
You think the Falcons make the playoffs? Cash, I think everything in the world needs to, all the planets have to align, I think, for the Falcons to make the playoffs.
No, it's not
there's-
that unrealistic. Look, they played the Giants. Okay, cool. They could. That's a win. They could easily win that. Week 18, they played Carolina. Could easily win that if they need to. It's really, again, this is the matchup that matters the most for the Falcons. This is a decider because if the Falcons lose that, they're done. They're toast. So this is the decider for the Falcons. This is the matchup that's going to really matter. They could easily beat the Panthers. They could easily beat the Giants. This is it right here. So unless they lose the Giants, then at that point you don't deserve the playoffs. But yeah. So.
All right, let's get through the rest of the show here because we spent 40 minutes talking about both.
That was productive. That was good though.
Let's see. The Colts are opening the 21-day window for Juju Bents, who's been on injured reserve with a knee injury. Let's see. The Eagles have opened up the practice window for Bryce Huff. Let's see. Jaguars announced that Trevor Lawrence underwent shoulder surgery and he's focused on rehab. He'll be on track to play next season. Texans placed offensive lineman Kenyon Green onto injured reserve. Browns placed Nick Chubb on injured reserve who broke his foot against the Chiefs. If we slide up here, I saw a big name who was here. Browns announced Dorian Thompson-Robinson is going to be starting, so anyone that has Browns players of fantasy are now taking a big L as we speak. Commanders are opening the practice window for Jonathan Allen, who is going to be a big presence on the defensive line for them, who suffered a pectoral injury week 6, and he's on track to play for down the stretch here as the Commanders are fighting for their playoff berths. Sorry, Dom, but the Falcons have placed Younghoe Koo on injured reserve, and they signed Riley Patterson in coordinates there. So, new kicker there for the Falcons. If you want to talk about all the Saints, all the quarterback changes for Week 16, Falcons go from Kirk Cousins to Michael Penix. Browns go from Jameis to Dorian. Giants go from Tommy DeVito to Drew Lock again. Titans are expected to bench Will Levis, start Mason Rudolph. Kansas City's decision, but Patrick Mahomes has practiced 2 days in a row fully, so there's really nothing going on there. Raiders are holding out hope that Aiden O'Connell could be back against the Jaguars this week. And then the Saints, who started Jake Hayner on Sunday, who was benched for Spencer Rattler. One of them are going to be playing for the Saints come Lambeau Field on Sunday. And then the Raiders officially placed Max Crosby and Sincere McCormick on injured reserve due to injuries. And Grant Dubose, if I want to say that correctly, the Dolphins receiver who got knocked out against the Texans, who was jersey was ripped off, face mask was removed on the jersey, stretchered off the field. He's returned home, so that's really good, but he is placed on injured reserve for the Dolphins. Geno Smith says he feels good and will be on the practice field for a, quote, significant portion of work, still to be determined how much. And Kyle Shanahan told reporters that Trent Williams may not play again this season. If he gets healthy, we want him to play, but if not, but it's not like that right now. So it's getting closer to being the other way around where he's not playing there. And Kaimi Fairbairn in the comments here saying Texans Super Bowl, who gave us 4 roses in TikTok. So yeah. And then also for you Colton Steelers, Steelers stuff here. George Pickens did not practice today, but TJ Watt limited despite a low ankle sprain. Seems like the difference between a high knee and a low knee. I don't really understand what the difference is there. But yes, it's about the same there. But let's talk about some other interesting factors here. Which performance from Week 15 stood out to you guys the most?
Caleb Williams. being
Josh
a bum.
Allen locking up the MVP.
Him and
I mean-
Lamar.
Yeah, Lamar did have a 5-touchdown performance. Like Lamar puts up such a better case this year. Me and Jake were talking about this than his MVP this year. He's already well surpassed his touchdowns from last year. Like he did that weeks ago, I think. So it's kind of wild that both guys are like deadlocked in absolute performance of their lifetimes right now. I mean, I think Josh Allen has the edge, like you said, kind of locking it down. But I mean, if he has 2 bad weeks and Lamar plays week 18 as well, like he probably will. Hey man, Lamar puts up 5 touchdowns week 18. He might make a serious case for that spaghetti. So
If they don't win the division, not a chance. He's not winning it.
that might be true.
I gotta say, Father Time turning back the clock here. Rodgers and Adams connecting on just the second half alone, 198 yards, 2 touchdowns, and just trying to run up whatever stats they could against the Jaguars.
That's such a Jets
Yeah.
thing.
It is such a
Like-
Jets thing.
Now that combo is gonna start going off when it doesn't matter anymore.
Hey, let's tank our draft position. I don't care anymore.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter who we pick; they're going to be a bust. So that's the Jets' MO. What about you,
Man,
Jake?
I'm-
Which performance stood out to you?
Yeah, I started to say it. Caleb Williams, absolute bum. Like how
Falling
many
over on the bench.
how many excuses can this guy?
Are you
get?
telling me Trent Taylor or whoever the Bears punter is not your standout performance because he has more
Taylor?
punting yards than Caleb has passing?
Like you can't tell me that like Drake May doesn't have it worse and is doing far better.
That's what I was gonna say. Is I really
Like, there's
this
no-
week again?
No
I
more
really like
excuses for
Drake.
Caleb. No more. Like win. You have some of the best weapons in the conference, and you still suck. What's the excuse now?
Coaching's not an excuse because Drake May has a first year coaching staff all together, just like top to bottom, much of first year coaching staff. And Drake May's with way less talent at receiver, like league's worst talent at receiver. Is been great. I love Drake May. As a Patriots fan, I'm happy with Drake May.
I would
Our
hope
team-
you like him. I mean, crap. You went from Mac Jones, who looked like the second coming, to just, divorced parents trying to teach him how to play offense.
Fact. This is basically Mac Jones again, but like way more.
Well, you're not
stable.
making the playoffs. It's
No.
Mac Jones minus, okay, the offensive coordinator is not going to leave and get a new job. It's like, okay, hey, maybe you could have some consistency for year 2, some growth, a normal offseason without pro days and all that stuff.
I'm happy with how the Drake May thing happened. I'm happy that he didn't start till he started. Like everything's good about it. I'm good with it all. It's clear the Patriots have a first year coaching staff top to bottom. Like they're not a good team. They need to be way better defense. Like they'll figure it out. I'm okay with that. I have trust in it. But it's a process. But Drake May looks good. That's what matters. That's part of my what you asked, the standout performance thing. I'm happy with Drake May. It's another week of I like what I'm seeing. So
Now we're in the holiday season. All the holidays between all the religions are coming up. So I have to ask this question in a very slight, firm stance here. Which NFL teams are asking for insert holiday figure here for the holidays? What are they asking for to get something to go right for their team? Yeah, what are they asking for? Santa Claus or whatever other holiday figures there are? I saw a video of it oh, hey, happy, insert your holiday here, seasons or whatever. So, yeah.
I think Washington as a whole is asking for that logo back that we were just looking at. The fan base, the team, the everything in Washington. They've been asking for that for a while. So I think for the whole year they've been writing letters to NFL Santa and asking for a certain name and logo back.
I'll stay on topic of the show. Michael Penix to work for the Atlanta Falcons. It's Kirk Cousins really isn't working. So, yeah. With the pick, I really want to say something else. Being in, it won't Michael Penix work out.
I'm just saying, when I had to type out the whole Falcons bench Kirk Cousins, I actually put penis instead of Penix, it was just like literally like it's just a whole different type of wording I have to do there. Jake's
What,
trying
like
to control himself. No, not autocorrect. No, like I'm literally typing on a keyboard. I literally clicked S instead of X. Like
It is right there. It's right there.
it's right there. Yeah, like it's diagonal there.
Yeah, it's close enough.
I think the Jets have to ask for Peyton Manning. If you watch the Peyton's Places or whatever, he did that. I don't know, reverse curse in Detroit with the bathtub of whiskey and the salt. They have to do that in MetLife or something to get to one of these teams to go somewhere correct. I don't know why he's not there. I mean, he also, said the Jets. Oh, Adam Gase, he's the best coach you're ever gonna have, and he was canned after 32 games. So the least he could do was try to lift up this curse of whatever's going on in this Indian garbage burial ground that's called MetLife Stadium.
I mean, are you not asking for Mike Vrabel?
I mean, I would love Mike Vrabel. I would, but I think uplifting the curse too. Like, hey, they did that with Dan Campbell, and they are what 34 wins since that video took place. So they're like killing it.
Scare the curse away.
Yeah, I think Mike Vrabel would punch a ghost in the face if he could. I think like
Dan Campbell probably gnawed off the kneecaps for those that like remained there at Ford Field.
Yeah,
his teeth scared it away.
Oh, those things. I think he was given like a denter's like I don't know, sponsorship. It's like, oh hey, come get your new teeth with us or something like that.
Well, let me ask you a question. As a Jets fan, this is so off topic. As a Jets fan, did you like or want the Brett Favre experience or the Aaron Rodgers experience? What just better?
Well, I mean, with Brett Favre, at least the Jets were just a game out from making the playoffs. All they had to do was win a game. You're 8-5, and then he breaks his arm or his tendon in his elbow breaks in Seattle, and then you go down this dumpster trail, and then you got to play the Dolphins, and yeah, that game with the Dolphins, they put Darrelle Revis in, and they put out DeBrickashaw Ferguson, which ruined DeBrickashaw Ferguson's Ironman streak because he only ever missed one snap in his career, and it was that trick play at the end of that Dolphins game in 2008. So it's kind of like, what grinds your gears? It's kind of like a play like that where it's a coach who knows he's going to get fired. He's just taking people out. So
between that and McAdoo with Eli, I mean, maybe that's just what it is, man. Maybe MetLife fit right there. Both New York teams.
Eli needed to be benched though in 2017. Let's be honest here.
100%. But Ben McAdoo took a lot of fire for that.
Yeah, as he should. He got fired the week after. I'll be completely serious. You can look it up, okay? The game after they played in Oakland, he was fired because of that. He lasted less than 2 years as head coach, and he made a playoff berth. Just let that sink in.
Well,
look at him. He's on the Patriots now. He's doing good on the Patriots.
The guy that
senior offensive advisor or whatever title they want to give him. They gave what is it? Nathaniel Hackett coffee runner or whatever for the Jets now. So Starbucks drive-through guy. Here's a minivan plastered in Jets logo screen now. Want to do a little fantasy football talk?
Up to you. I haven't looked at on TikTok. I don't know what we got.
So we got Trent here. It says Bo Nix or Kyler Murray. I would have to say, Chargers got toasted by Baker, so I would have to go Kyler Murray on this one. He plays the Panthers. Week 16 game on the East Coast, so I think that would be it. And then we also got a couple comments here on TikTok, YouTube. McMillan or Jaden Reed? I actually put in a waiver claim for McMillan this week. Not to start. I need just some insurance policies lined up behind the guys I'm playing. So, damn, Kyle checked his lineup. Now he's a 3% chance to win. How disappointing. Dom, what would you want? Do you want Jaden Reed, or are you over the Jaden Reed experience and you would say Jalen McMillan's instead?
Man.
Jalen McMillan had 5 catches, 75 yards, and a touchdown. One of the easiest touchdowns he probably will have in his career. Not even covered. Not even a guy within 15 yards of him.
I don't mind Jaden Reed because it's against New Orleans, and I'm not afraid of New Orleans anymore.
And they got to play in the cold. They got to have a dome team go outside.
Home.
Oh, yeah. So,
yeah.
I like that matchup for Jaden Reed. I love it. And I feel like Jaden Reed performs better at home anyway. feel like the whole Green Bay team does. But like, yeah, I mean, I like the Jaden Reed matchup, and Jaden Reed himself is much more of a consistent, stable thing. He had one bad week, like followed by like a just okay week. I mean, it's fine. Panic just because he had that one bad week. You know, he's still a start. McMillan's good, but
We got start 2 here. PPR. Mike Evans, Scary Terry, Joe Mixon, and Jackson Smith and Jigba. If Gino's not playing, I am not starting Jackson Smith. I wouldn't even consider sniffing the lineup with him.
I like that idea. I mean, I feel like you
Mike Evans against the Cowboys. Trayvon Diggs on IR with a knee injury, so it's just going to be a feast.
Anyway, no matter what.
Yeah, Evans has to be a start. What?
And I think you have to start Scary Terry. Like when he plays at home against the Eagles, it's just he always plays really well against the Eagles at home.
He had 0 catches. No, one catch, 2 yards.
2 yards. And that was when he moved him over to the right side for the first time in his career.
I don't like starting Terry when Mixon's still fantastic. I mean, it's against Kansas City, but I'm not too afraid of that. Mixon's like a
dome team having to go outside. It's still the same kind of like.
But I don't think the Texans are super.
I don't know. I'm still not really sold on offense. If the Texans are winning games, it's really that defense that's going to win them games. The offense has just been like they're lacking.
But Mixon, no matter what, has performed all year.
Mixon sold on me in the playoffs for my one league. Cooper Kupp sold on me.
Wow.
I don't know. I want to say Terry McLaurin because it is a big game, and you could go back through every time the Eagles have gone to DC. Terry has lit up the Eagles. Doesn't matter who's in the secondary. Like that Super Bowl team from 2022, he is dominated against. He's just a good player overall.
I don't know. That's a tough one. I would start Mixon because he's going to get touches, yards. Like he's got to touch the ball, whereas there's a chance that Terry almost doesn't touch the ball at all. Like that you're dealing with a chance versus a guarantee you're going to get touches from Mixon. So like personally, I would go with I'm guaranteed touches versus a little bit of sketch. It's a gamble.
And Quintana Bay took him out of the game last time.
Yeah, that's
completely.
That scares me.
He was irrelevant. So unless they scheme something totally different this game, like they leave him, if they do his normal thing where he stays on the one side of the field and doesn't travel, it might be rough again.
Ryan came here and says Achane or Mixon. I would pick Achane because it is in South Beach, and the Niners defense isn't scary anymore. Too injury burden.
This other question is tough, dude. This guy right here, AR Smile.
JR Smiles.
Oh, it was Tracy.
I'm kind of.
I think they get Pacheco going a little bit more because I think Mahomes gonna have to get the ball out of his hands pretty quickly, especially with the Texans and their front seven, which is especially with ankle injury that Mahomes claiming he's nursing. I don't think he wants to be in the line of fire of Danielle Hunter or Will Anderson coming on both sides of the line. And they might the Texans might expose that left side of the line a lot more because the inconsistency at left tackle there. Because they started what's his face? They're Joe Thuney there. Their left guard, they started at left tackle. So I think Pacheco might be a better move than Tracy.
It's tough. Atlanta, so it's Tracy against Atlanta. Tracy's been kind of
dog water.
First of all, he's questionable right now, so he's dealing with an injury. I assume he played, but he had 4 points last week. It wasn't pretty. It's not because of the injury. Like he played. He only averaged 3 yards a rush. Like it wasn't.
The Ravens
pretty.
Also have like best run defense in the
That's
NFL.
True. That is true. Atlanta's is the 11th best. It's not terrible, but it's not good. My thing is with Pacheco, we haven't him play. Like he has now played for 3 weeks and he hasn't been good.
I don't think they don't need to like rely on them like right now to be like, okay, hey, can you go out there and just like start running people over? Like, I think now down the stretch, like if you got to play pretty well because I think Bills are only 2 games behind. So if they could win this week, they ultimately will lock up the 1 seed, and then they could just start benching players. So I think this is the week where the Chiefs are going to have to chalk something up and just, kind of let their guys like rest for the final 2 weeks and then get that bye to really ease up on everything.
Who's playing quarterback for the Giants right now?
Drew Lock is the starter for Sunday. Scheduled starter. I'm sorry. It could be Tim Boyle. Who knows?
Yo, Tim Boyle. Okay, because Tommy, whatever, just didn't. Right? He was like, nah.
He got concussed, and it was just the end of it. Yeah, last play, he just
he walked in that locker room and smashed his head into the wall because I don't blame him. I would have done the same thing.
Over on TikTok here, we got Trent who says Mooney or DK. I would have to say Mooney because DK has just been taking a real.
That's just like an awful question. You're dealing with two backup quarterbacks coming in, both like who knows.
Also, I swear we have like the same question every week. The Seattle receivers.
Well,
yeah, they're all drafted by like everyone, so it's like
no one ever knows what to do with them ever.
My thing is, Sowell's not good.
No, he's terrible.
But he throws yards. Like last year, he threw freaking yards.
Yeah, he had 4,000 yards, and he was a 3-1 quarterback.
So it's like receivers might go for Seattle, but it's still it's all gamble. It's a gamble for Atlanta. It's a gamble for Seattle. You're just like, I don't know, man. If you're in the playoffs, I'm sick because that sucks. If you're not in the playoffs, whatever. You just
Cameron has 2 questions here. They say sit 1, Neighbors, Cup, DJ, or Puka. And then he also says who to start, Bucky Irving, K9, or Swift. For the sit 1, I think DJ Moore might be the most God, I don't even know if you want to sit DJ Moore because the Bears play really good against the Lions outdoors. Like really good. God, I might lean on like benching Neighbors, but Neighbors also will get like catches and yards, especially if it's like a blowout game in garbage time. No, I'm gonna say you bench DJ. I say start Bucky.
I would say start Bucky because I think that matters a lot. I don't trust K9 at the moment. He's doing his injury thing, whatever. I don't know. And whoever else you said I'm not super trustworthy with. I think Bucky's a good start.
Let's see.
Jared Smile said, thanks, boys. Just subscribe. Thank you. And then he also said, start Zay, MHJ, Addison, Reed, Waddle. I think you got to start Addison, right? That's almost like a guarantee.
I don't think you're starting Waddle this week.
No, I don't. I'm not too old on the Waddle.
I don't even think you start Marvin Harrison either. Like it's just the Addison, Reed, and Zay show. Marvin Harrison was such a big like.
That's what I'm thinking. Well, Gonzalez locked him down. Gonzalez took the ball out of his hands like twice in the end zone. It was awesome. But Zay, Addison, and Reed, I think, is the move.
3rd round pick though for Harrison killed me in like 2 leagues.
That sucks.
Cameron said, Cameron, I say you bench DJ and then you start Cup, Puka, and Neighbors.
Gosh, Cup and Puka on the same team is so many people do that.
I saw one up here. Blau says, I got Devontae Adams or AJ Brown. I don't know who to start or sit. AJ Brown goes to the Commanders this week. The Jets play the Rams, and the Rams let up at least a receiver with 20 points on fantasy.
Lattimore starts this week, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lattimore's played last week, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you got
something to consider.
Something to consider. I say Devontae. Not trying to be biased there, but I would say Devontae. AJ, he did get the yards. He did get his plays last week. He did get his touchdown. The arguments are worried. They're exiled. They're okay. Nothing's coming out there this week, so yeah.
Besides Glazer lying again.
Glitchy says, should I pick up Miller? Don't have Kamara. Have a few questionable guys. I picked up Miller as the insurance policy because who knows if Kamara plays because he has that abductor injury that he got on the touchdown pass last week. So it's always good to have injury policy, especially Dom knows with having Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet just comes in and just lights it up.
Mm-hmm. Any San Fran running back ever?
Dino says Jennings, Ford, or McMillan for flex. Jennings goes to Miami. Jerome Ford plays the Bengals, and then McMillan plays the Cowboys. I would say McMillan. Give me a fun one here. Give me McMillan. Start him. Let's see. Yahir says Adams or Neighbors for flex. I think Adams would be a much better play in the flex than Neighbors. Tristan said Pollard, Brees, or Ford. I am so sorry that you have to go through that. I would say probably Pollard. I don't know. Brees didn't really look too good. They were also splitting carries in the backfield, so that was that. Cinco Sace says Brees or DJ Moore for flex. I would have to say DJ Moore. Lost Monty and need to start one. ETN, Madison, or Warren. I think Jalen Warren could be a good play. What do you think, Colton? He's vibing. He's good. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
I mean,
Dude, they don't use Jalen Warren enough. I thought easily Sunday was a Jalen Warren game and didn't give him the rock. I thought the Steelers. I hope the Steelers learned their lesson. The tallest place on Najee Harris. I thought we learned. So maybe that was the lesson learned. Maybe toss them to Jalen Warren. Yeah, I don't. I like Jalen Warren. He's a flex play at the most, and if you're desperate, how about that?
Glitchy. I wouldn't drop the Chiefs defense, especially with playing the Texans this week, because the Chiefs defense is still good and they are winning them football games still. I wouldn't drop them just yet, especially with how the Texans have struggled. So, and then we got Beckett, JSN or London. I would go JSN if Gino plays, and apparently Gino has practiced in full today. Yahir says, should I play Cooper Kupp? And I will one up you and say, does a bear shit in the woods?
Well, we said that last week.
Ryan says BTJ or Neighbors or Chuba or Mixon or Kupp. Pick one for flex. I think Kupp might be your best bet. And then Brian Thomas should be playing in your lineup. What do you got, like a 2-team league? Brian Thomas should be playing, and then Cooper Kupp should be also in your lineup. Dylan, Kincaid or Henry? I would say Kincaid. This is a game where I think the Buffalo tight ends just go off. Oh, and you do have the Bills defense. He went up to me. Dakota says Goff or Mahomes. I would have to say Goff. And then Ciego says start or bench Tyreek. I think you have to start Tyreek. And then Ryan says Purdy, Penix, or AR. I don't know. AR looked pretty good last week. You might have to consider playing Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if you could play Purdy in South Beach. WV Sports News says DK or Neighbors. I am so sorry you have to go through that. So I think Neighbors might be the absolute play there.
We're going to get a bunch of questions about that tomorrow, huh, Will? It's going to be a bunch of deep Neighbors questions.
And then Colin says Herbert or Stroud. I would say
Herbie.
God, yeah, I would go Herbie.
Stroud's not been good in fantasy.
Cinco came back and says JT or Drake London for the flex. I would have to say Drake London. Anthony Richardson has taken away so much of what Jonathan Taylor can do in the backfield. And let's answer these questions, and we'll get off this topic here.
All right, go for it.
Not worried about the rain for Seattle and the Vikings. I know last week we said we weren't worried, and we were so wrong, Dom.
What?
I mean, weather could change. It's 96 hours out, so
no.
Yeah.
Weren't we saying start running backs because of the rain?
Yeah, we were like, oh, still start Puka, start Kupp, because you know what you get out of Kupp, you get out of Puka. Jawan Jennings gets a touchdown. It was just the biggest shit show in the world.
We guaranteed a touchdown.
We guaranteed a lot of stuff, and then never came up. Those people aren't back, so I think we're okay here. They must have forgot. Packers defense or the Falcons defense? I think you have to play the Packers here.
Yeah.
Especially there's really no one on their team, so I would say start Packers. Lions D versus Chicago or Colts D. I'm starting the Colts D this week. I'm playing a little frisky here, and I'm playing the Colts D in a league, so
No, do it. I don't even know if Will Levis is starting.
He's not. He's been.
Yeah.
No, it's Mason Rudolph.
I mean, whatever.
Now we got PPR Cup or Devontae Adams.
You got to do Cup. Their games matter so much. You have to do Cup. They're gonna pass. I mean, it just matters a lot.
And we got Tyreek, London, Pickens, or McLaurin. Pick 2.
I'm gonna be Pickens.
Tyreek is the definite must start out of these. I know
Yeah.
you know a lot of people got burned this year with them, but also the Tua injury, so I got to start him.
I don't know. what
I
to do
still
with
say
Pickens.
McLaurin, man. I don't know. I got this hunch. I still think it's like that McLaurin big week that we're
I don't
expecting.
know if London is gonna be good because of Penix. So
Siego also came back and said James Cook or Chuba. I would say James Cook and Angel. The last question we'll answer here. Pickens and Russ or Purdy and Jennings. Also start sit Tyreek versus San Francisco. You're starting Tyreek against San Francisco this week.
Yep.
God, I don't even know. I don't even think Pickens plays, so it's just kind of like Russ and Mike Williams. I don't even know. Steelers
Yeah,
gifted the Jets a free 5th round pick.
I'm definitely not doing that.
Yardy, Madison, or Spears this week? Might have to go Spears. And Steve, this last one I'm going to answer. Judy, Jawan, and Jacoby. Start Jacoby this week. Start
Yeah.
Jacoby.
honestly,
And here we go. We're going to go in here. Game of the week. What are we looking at here for our game of the week from last week? Obviously, we could pick the low-hanging fruit here in the Motor City. Lions and
it was a game.
Bills. Scoregami. I think it was like the 1,092nd game. Unique score that's come out. God. I don't know. I would have to say that that Bengals and Titans game, if I don't want to pick the low-hanging fruit here, the game had 10 turnovers. Just put that in the perspective.
That's crazy.
Even one that bounced out of the end zone when the Bengals picked it up. Like, a lot of stuff went on that game, so I'll pick that one as the drunk game of the week.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
Joe
drunk
Burrow
is
looked
the-
Joe,
is the one-
Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow looked bad in the beginning of the game. He came back, but 2 interceptions, a fumble, wasn't his best outing.
Yeah, drunk game of the week is the Commanders Saints game because holy crap, what happened at the end of that game? That's just how did that happen?
I think it had to have been an error on like the TV truck, because
No, it was the official. He crapped his pants. Like Sean Hockley even had to come out and say my crewman screwed up.
That's fantastic.
what about
would-
you, Dom? Where's your game of the week going?
The Jets-Jags game wasn't bad because you saw a comeback happen. Just like the Jags were up. I mean, it wasn't a bad game.
You got a lot of historical parts there. Like Adams gets his 100th touchdown. Brian Thomas becomes the most rookie touchdowns by a receiver in Jaguars history. He passes Justin Blackmon, the biggest what if I think in NFL history, and receiving yards. So
Kinda
Yeah,
nuts.
That's a name I would never thought I'd hear again.
I would if he never got suspended, I think he would be a top 10 like receiver in the league. Like he was that good with the amount of just quarterback talent that he lacked of.
You're telling me the Jets' leading rusher was Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, the 41-year-old guy coming off an Achilles injury was the Jets' leading rusher. The Jets couldn't get anything going on the ground. The Jaguars have a really good front four too. You also have to put that into perspective. But Breece Hall has some like knee injury that he's going through. Braylon Allen left early with a back injury, and then you had Isaiah Davis. I think is he's a rookie. I don't even know where he is. Iowa State.
Ashton Davis. He only had one carry, but
Ashton Davis. That was a fake punt that he did. That he finished with a front flip.
epic.
Yeah, and then Aaron Rodgers got sacked by Ledbetter, and he did a backflip. So he had the front and backflip celebrations from that week. So, what about you, Colton? Where are you going for your game of the week?
Low hanging fruit.
Okay.
Buccaneers and
Well,
Chargers?
Low hanging fruit. Buffalo.
Falcons and Raiders.
Falcons and Raiders? Are you serious right now? The Vikings and Bears? Colton's coming out with hot takes today. Jeez Louise.
Yeah, I'm taking Buffalo and Detroit, but thank you.
And here we go. Everyone's favorite segment: buy, sell, and hold. let me clear my throat here because this is a very big one this week. A lot of stuff's on the line here. But what are we looking at for buys here? Can I go first? I want to go first here on my buy. I'm going to buy into the race for the number 1 seed in the NFC. So I'm going to buy into the Lions. I'm going to buy into the Eagles. Going to buy into the Vikings. That race is going to be a very good competitive race till the end. So I'll be buying those 3.
Nice.
And also, I have to buy into the Pop-Tart Bowl, which did a Oppenheimer ripoff, and they called it Poppenheimer, one of the greatest bowl games that will ever exist in college football history. Yes, I will buy into the Pop-Tart Bowl, absolutely, every single day of the week.
Oh, it's so funny. It's so good.
Yeah, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna buy into Green Bay. Like they're finally kind of hitting a stride, like late in the season, going into the playoffs.
Jordan loved Toyotathon. I'm just saying, there's history there.
It happened again.
It happened again.
I'm going to buy Tampa Bay. These are 2 teams I've held within the past 5 weeks. I'm going to buy Tampa Bay because I feel like they're in a good spot right now to be what they need to be, finish the division. We're cool with that. And I'm going to buy into Denver because I've never bought into Denver. I held them like 5 weeks ago. I've bought into them. They deserve to be bought into. They've done enough to prove that we were wrong about everything we said in the 2 minutes we talked about them in the preview. Good for them. Good for them. I think their defense is great. I think Bo Nix is surprisingly better than anyone could have. He might be. They're just doing the right things. That's it, man. I don't know. Good for them. They're a playoff team currently. So.
What about you, Colton? Where are we going here for the buys?
Philadelphia Eagles, best team in the NFC.
That's the first Eagles buy of the season, by the way.
Yeah, me and Jake talked about this. No one has touched the Eagles this season for us.
Yeah, I don't have anything here.
No.
No.
I've been paying attention.
No one's touched the Eagles.
Now we go to sells. What are we selling off on this week? Can I also go first again? I also spoiled it.
Segment. He's the host of the segment. He says it to us.
Well, you know what? No one's gonna pick my sell. So I'm completely comfy here. So you guys go. I'll go last on my sell because no one's picking it.
Go first.
Okay, I'll go first. I'm selling on Dom math because Dom tells me he needs 12 points from Cole Kmet, even though he needs 7 points to win his fantasy matchup. And then he tells me he needs 8 to win because the decimal point comes in. But I said, no, you only need 7 because you have the decimal point advantage. I'm selling on Dom math. It's like girl math if you have cash on you and, it doesn't count because, it doesn't come out of your bank account. So Dom math is a big sell.
The best part was it was completely irrelevant because Cole Kmet had 2 points. So I lost out of the playoffs. I'm done because of Cole Kmet because the Bears couldn't even do anything in garbage time. I just do a garbage time check down one time for me. Thank you. Nope. So it didn't even matter.
Well, I'll piggyback right off that because you're talking about Cole Kmet. I am selling Caleb Williams. I was willing to give him a shot after all the nonsense about him in USC and how we had to hear about him for 4 years now, how amazing he is and how amazing he's going to be in the league. And he just, even through college, he had every excuse after excuse after excuse. And it's continuing in the NFL, and I'm over it. So he's getting the official seal because Drake, as we said earlier, Drake May has far less than he does and is actually doing well. Caleb Williams could even complete passes to open receivers the other night, and he just stinks. I'm over him.
I am going to sell on a team which also could technically be a buy for the team. I'm going to sell on the Raiders because I never have, and let's be honest, it's been well over. Cool. You're just like a speed bump for any team at this point. But also, that could be a buy to the first overall pick. So it's like sell, a buy in the same notion, just in a total opposite direction, because I low-key think they end up with the first overall pick, and the Giants don't. So that's where I'm going with my sell/buy. A sell that becomes a buy eventually.
So it's going to be called I don't even know what you would call it. A bell?
No.
It's a buy and a sell.
It's a sigh.
That's what you are. If you're a Raiders fan right now. That's all you're doing. You're just sighing.
Sure.
Monte Adams. Like,
What about you, Colton? Where's your sell going?
It's the freaking 49ers. Brock Purdy, good luck, San Francisco, giving him a contract. That team sucks.
didn't even think of that.
They are so Christian McCaffrey dependent. I really don't know what else to say about the 49ers. Garbage.
And the phone is ringing here, so I'm going to mute myself. But where are you guys going on your holds?
I'm going to hold Washington because they still have to finish out this season. And like I said, there's a big game next week that could potentially occur that could make their season or not. So I'm going to hold on to Washington because they still win. I mean, they're in close games every week. This week's going to be maybe the hardest game of their season situationally. So, like, I expect them to lose this week, but that means they need to win the rest of their games, the rest of their schedule. So, like, I'm holding on to Washington, hopeful for playoffs, hopeful they win out the last 2 weeks. But yeah, it's not going to be easy, but they can. But we'll see what the execution looks like.
Yeah, save mine.
Where are you guys going on your holds here?
I guess I'm gonna hold in the Cowboys. Actually, they looked not as terrible the last couple of weeks.
True.
Actually, looked good on defense again. So that's a team that could absolutely play spoiler to somebody coming down the road, down the final 3 year, and they have the chance to do it for all 3 games: Buccaneers, Eagles, and Commanders. Which can kill hopes in every single one of those games.
What about you, Colton? Where's your hold going?
Oh, God. Bryce Young. I thought there was a lot of progression from him going forward. Couldn't look great in the first game as favorites in like 2 years. Yeah, I'm going to hold on to Bryce Young. And I'm not holding on to the Panthers. They suck. I already sold them. I'm going to hold on to Bryce Young.
My hold, I think it makes sense. Michael Penix Jr. Let's see what he has. Logical.
You bum.
It's a logical hold. Okay, I get ridiculed for all these holds and all that stuff. I made a logical hold for one time in my life. One time. That's all I did.
No one's saying it's not logical.
And what's
Just saying
not
you're
logical is there's 48 games left in this NFL season. Wow, how fast the season has come and before you know it, it's gonna be summertime. So, let's fix this up here. Okay, we did our shuffle here, and bam, here are our results from last week. Let me get this off the TikTok people here. So last week, where am I here? 12-4 for Dom, Colton, and Jake, and I went 10-6, and here we are, 144-80. Colton's 149-75, along with Jake, and Dom is 142-82.
So we're in a situation that is opposite of last year, where instead of Will climbing up the ladder underneath me and pulling me down, I am climbing up the ladder and pulling Will down.
Everybody climbed up the ladder and pulled you down.
Last year, yeah, that's true. But in the last 3 weeks, it was between me and Will mostly, and here we are.
Yeah, it's whether they're going to hold on and not be last year.
But now it's Will is holding on to maybe not be last this year. So
I'm not really concerned here. There's no worries here.
All right.
And speaking of no worries here, Thursday Night Football, the AFC West. Wild card spots are on the line here. This got flexed. Let's also put that into perspective. Broncos at SoFi Stadium to face the Chargers here. I am lone wolfing the Denver Broncos. So, yeah, we got that going on here. 2 Saturday games on NBC will have the Houston Texans face the Kansas City Chiefs. And Colton, you are lone wolfing here, the Houston Texans.
Give it to me, baby.
As what Rick James said, give it to me, baby. in that one song. I heard it on GTA one time. And then we go from Kansas City to Baltimore, hey, viewers here, this is going to be printed out. The standalone game, Steelers, Ravens. Colton again, lone wolfing the Pittsburgh Steelers here.
Got Lamar's number, man. I'm living and dying on it. Game of the season, gotta have it. I think the Steelers deliver the goods on the road.
Now we go to Sunday's 1 o'clock hour. The Giants with Drew Lock face Michael Penix at his first career start, and we are all taking the Atlanta Falcons here. From Atlanta's airport, which could be named whatever, we go to Chicago Air, as everyone likes a little journeyman here. The Detroit Lions and the Chicago Bears face off. We are all taking the Detroit Lions here. From the Midwest back to the Southeast, Cardinals are facing the Carolina Panthers. Dom is lone wolfing the Carolina Panthers.
I'm okay with it.
I'm good with
Bryce
it.
Young, he trusts.
And what some networks claim is a trap game here at MetLife Stadium. The Rams, who are the NFC West leaders as of right now, face the New York Jets, who are coming off their first win since Halloween. Where are we? Clean sweep of the Rams here. Last time the Jets and the Rams played, the Rams were 17.5-point favorites. And, yeah.
Will picked his actual favorite team, Rams.
Dom picked his actual favorite team as well. So look at us go.
Yeah, but it will never.
Speaking of
be-
favorite teams here, the favorite team is right here playing in Landover, Maryland. The Eagles and the Commanders. Eagles when they can lock up the NFC East here. And yeah, we are all taking the Philadelphia Eagles here on the sweep. From Maryland, we go to Ohio as the Battle of Ohio takes place. The Browns and the Bengals here. We're all taking the Bengals here, who are trying to keep their season alive here. Need a lot to happen to keep it alive. AFC South here, Mason Rudolph expected to start. Nothing official yet after the Colts plunder in Denver. We are all taking the Indianapolis Colts here. Dom, I have to say you have to fill in your last 4 picks because they're not filled in here.
Oh, I forgot about that.
As panic sets in.
I forgot about that.
You bum.
Panic sets in here.
I switched over to fantasy at that moment. I was like, oh, I'll do it later. Okay.
And then we got the Minnesota Vikings and the Seattle Seahawks here. One team's fighting for their playoff hopes for the Seahawks here. We're all taking the Minnesota Vikings here on the sweep. Flex to 425 out of the 1 o'clock hour. The Buffalo Bills are wearing their red color rush uniforms against the New England Patriots, and we're all taking the Bills on a sweep here. And we have the game of the 4 o'clock hour. You guys aren't prepared for this one. Jaguars and Raiders. This could solidify the number 1 overall pick, at least in some aspects here. And we are sweeping Jacksonville. Look at that. We are a good group of people here picking the Jaguars. And then the Kyle Shanahan Bowl. Kyle Shanahan travels and faces former offensive coordinator Mike McDaniel. I'm sorry. We're all taking Miami on the sweep here. Sunday Night Football, we get the Buccaneers traveling to Dallas, AT&T Stadium, to face the Cowboys. And the best part about the Cowboys is they don't have to lose the ball in the sun because there'll be night. So let's put that in the perspective. We're all taking Tampa Bay on a sweep here. The frozen tundra is going to be cold on Monday Night Football as they host the New Orleans Saints, and whoever's is Spencer Rattler, Jake Hayner, and his showing off glossy little photo shoot there. We're all taking the Packers on the sweep. And that, ladies and gentlemen, rounds out our show. Follow us on all the social media platforms down below. YouTube for the Fan Network, TikTok for the Fan Network, X for the Fan _ and Instagram for the Fan Football. Anything you guys want to add here before we head out here? Close out.
It's going to be an easy week making the graphic for me. We all swept the last 10 games on that list. So it's going to.
I mean, I don't think it was a surprise that we swept at all.
No.
I was praying for a tie here, but in the Jaguars game, but
Well,
it probably won't happen.
that would make for good football.
It would make it for good football. As always, I am Will. That's Colton. That's Jake, and that's Don. We are For the Fan. Yeah, check us out next time. Peace, everyone.
Will sucks.